everyone, in today's video I'm going to be showing you a little experiment I ran with some gel polish. I saw this video, this little tip for making a gel ombre easier by soaking your sponge, your little makeup cosmetic sponge, in water so that it didn't absorb your gel polish, so that when you sponged across the nail it didn't soak it all up and it left the gel polish on the nail, blended it flawlessly. So we're going to see how that goes. We're going to see if that's a better idea or if just the traditional way works easier. You'll see my opinions, we're gonna go through it. I'm also using some of the new colors from the Madam Glam House of Fun collection from July. I love them, they're so bright, they're so fun. You'll see them on my nails, I hope you like them. I'll show you all the colors in the description box below as well, so check for those and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
So these are the three colors I'm going to be using to ombre together. I picked three colors that didn't necessarily automatically go together perfectly. Like it's not just like pink, pink, pink. So it'll be a fun one to ombre because it'll show you really how well this technique works. It's Glam Element, Fire Sign, and Electra. So here's my sponge. I'm going to rip off a small section because I'm going to do a dry ombre the way I normally do it versus the wet ombre. So the bigger section of sponge, the one that's got the, like the bigger handle, the long point on it, is the one I'm going to soak up. So I've got a little cup of room temperature water and I'm just going to get this really, really wet. After I've got it pretty much where it is entirely soaked, you can see all the bubbles coming out of it and it has increased in size. I'm going to then just squeeze out some of the excess water so it's not going to drip out, but it is definitely still damp to the touch. Like you can tell just by feeling it that it is wet. The first color I'm going to use is the color Electra. These colors are all gorgeous too, by the way. So I'm going to start with that one and I'm going to go from my cuticle going down. And obviously there is a bunch of different ways to do ombres, and I feel like as far as gel polish goes, there isn't one obvious way that works for all gel polishes. Different types are going to work better for certain techniques. Some people love to use an ombre brush, some people don't. There is some controversy over using airbrushes and their safety, which is probably the most flawless final result. So, maybe that's not the best plan. There is just different thoughts on it. I decided to try this one out. So now I'm going to use the next color, which is Fire Sign, which is so intense of a color. Just, you can tell the camera doesn't even know how to handle it because it's such intense of a color. That's the middle of the nail color. And then the final one is going to be the Glam Element. So I'm showing you both nails at once because I'm going to do one with the wet sponge and one with the dry sponge, just so you can get the comparison of the two. And then the final color, the Glam Element. So as I said, these colors don't necessarily immediately ombre. So we've got a purple to almost a red into a pink. Now that we have all three of those bands, first I'm going to show you the dry sponge. So I'm going to just gently tap, tap, tap the dry sponge going across those three colors until the colors are nicely melded together. This is going to pick up the majority of the gel polish. After I've got the first section done, now I've got my wet sponge and I'm going to do the same process with the wet sponge. I'm going to just tap, 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 going right across the nail. And after I've done that, I would have to say it did not pick up as much gel. So, first coat, I didn't see a huge difference, but it probably picked up a little less. So now we're going to go through with the second coat. Same process. I'm going to apply the three bands of color in approximately the same places. When I do an ombre with just two colors, I like to apply my first coat with the color from the cuticle 60% of the way down the nail, and then the second coat, the first color 40% of the way down the nail. I find that blends it much better. And then if I do need to do a third coat, I do it 50. So I do it like past halfway, less than halfway, and then at the halfway if it is required. It just makes it so that it goes on and the blend is so much smoother. But because we're doing the three, it's a little less, you don't have as much room to play. So I'm just going to pretty much apply them in exactly the same spots. So we've got all three colors, once again, applying them. As you can see, these colors are nicely pigmented. Each coat pretty much does cover. If you're using gel colors that are less pigmented, each layer is going to be less effective. So now we're going to take our sponge that is going to be the dry sponge, tap, 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 going across. After this, you're going to notice that because the sponge has absorbed some gel already, it's not going to pick up nearly as much. That first nail, it picks up quite a bit. The second coat around, it didn't pick up nearly as much. So the ombre is very nice looking. Now on the wet sponge, after I'm tap, tap, tapping, I was less impressed. And I don't know, I just felt like it didn't look quite as smooth to me. And in the video, it does look very smooth. One of the things that I saw in the video on Instagram that was recommending this technique is it said that it created less bubbles, because sometimes when you do a gel polish ombre with a sponge, it creates little bubbles on the surface of the nail, a little bubble texture, like it makes little bubbles. And I personally rarely have that issue. Occasionally I have seen it, and sometimes I'm like, really? You gotta be a bubble right now? And if I do ever come across one, I can usually just take a dotting tool and I can poke it and it'll pop and it's fine. But if you were to have a lot of bubble problems, maybe that would be the reason that the wet sponge would be a big help. I don't know. So far, between the wet versus the dry sponge, after the second coat, I did not see a huge difference. Now on the third coat, we're just going to do another one, tap, 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 going across. And after the third coat, my dry nail was very smooth. I was really happy with it. I guess it is a little textured, but really not anything that after top coat is going to show. Wet nail going across, tap, tap, tap. I'm going to say that after the third coat, and I'm going to zoom in and really show you, I actually thought it took more color off of some of it, and the blend wasn't quite as smooth to me when I was looking really super close. So now I'm going to be applying a chrome base coat. So this is going to be because I'm going to add those chrome flakes, or those chameleon flakes. And after the base coat, it's basically like a gel top coat. We're going to be, you can really see the difference, and I will get a nice close shot so that you guys can kind of get an idea. It looks a little bit more spotty, I thought, on the wet ombre versus the one that I did in my traditional dry sponge method. Now, maybe different brands will make a difference. One of the reasons I love and have loved Madam Glam forever is because they ombre so nicely. They're so pigmented that they're such a lovely product to work with for creating a sponge ombre. Then maybe that's part of the difference. And maybe if you have gels that don't like to ombre, maybe this would be the key to making that work. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. In my experience, in my little test here, I just didn't think, I thought it looked a little more pixelated, like right there was just a second right in there. You can kind of see, to me, it looks like it's specklier right in there. I don't know. Can you see it? Hopefully you can see it. I don't think it looks as smooth. Maybe it looks more pigmented, but I don't think it looks as smooth. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to press those chameleon flakes on top of here. It is such a cool look. I love chameleon flakes, and there's something that I kind of forget I have in my tool belt, and I saw them one day and I was like, you know what? I need something fun and fabulous on my nails. We're just going to make them totally glamorous and load them up on chameleon flakes and ombre goodness. So that is what is going on here. The one downfall is they do like to attach themselves to anywhere else on your skin. So I did have some chameleon flakes stuck to my nails for about, a day or my skin around my nails. Just they like to stick. It took about, 6 hand washings to get them off, I'm going to estimate. Yeah, they're staticky. They like to stick, but they're so pretty. So I'm just going to rub those in. After those are all applied and they are nicely attached, I'm going to add a little layer of gel top coat over to seal them in, finish this off. And if you did have any ombre woes, if you're doing an ombre and it's just not working out for you, something like this, a chrome or a chameleon flake or some kind of effect on top would always fix it. Not that I don't think that both of these ombres turned out very lovely, and if you weren't zoomed in and staring at them with a microscope, you would never have seen the difference between the two, because it really was that close of a call between the wet sponge versus the dry sponge. But if you did ever have any ombre and you're like, you know what, this just kind of was not my day for this ombre, add some kind of glam on top of it. You would never know that there was any ombre problems after that. And then as soon as you are done with your gel top coat, this one's all done. If you have any questions about the ombres, let me know. I am not sure who I saw who shared the original wet ombre technique. If I did, I would have happily shared it with you, but I saw it quick and that's the nature of the internet these days. No idea who it was. But I'm also going to show you this Nourish Me Cuticle Balm, which is fabulous. And I have it in I carry a little backpack with me wherever I go instead of a purse. So good in a backpack or a purse because it doesn't melt or leak or anything. And then this little cuticle oil pen, which I stuck in my travel bag for when I go out of town. And they both smell amazing, and they're such good little travel companions. So I'm going to click this every time you get something new like this. You have to do the little clicker thing on the back bunch of times before it gets started. But like I said, they both smell fabulous. I'm not sure which one I like the smell of better, but they're both very, they're not like very girly scents, which I really appreciate. They're both very neutral, very nice, good smells. The pen is, I don't know, it's very like lemony, limey. I don't know. They're good. They're good stuff, and they really do make your skin feel amazing. They're good quality cuticle oils. And as a nail tech, I use cuticle oil and cuticle balm all the time because I know the power of the cuticle oil. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found some help out of it. If you have any questions, like I said, don't hesitate to ask, and I will see you all next time. Bye.